Hey Cookies, are you trying to get into the new Cookierun Braverse TCG, but your wallet is still crying from all the gems you wasted on your current banner, only to pull Gingerbrave for the 5 millionth time? Or maybe you're still on that never-ending quest to find those singles. Maybe you're a new cookie in the Cookierun universe, and this is your gateway into the franchise, which, if that's the case, welcome to your new life and your future favorite fandom. Today I'm here to help with what I call Zake's super duper ultra budget, but still kinda good deck list. The rules are very simple. We only have 2 of them, and that's that this deck can only contain what you could find in 2 starter decks for that color, and any cards from the set that are commons, uncommons, and rares. This is because a new player or somebody getting into there or couldn't find singles won't have these SR or URs. This is what I imagine somebody would do when they're getting into the game. They would only buy 2 of a starter, and then they would go from there, being able to trade others at the store that might have extras or so on. There's also the second rule of no promos or exclusive cards. We're imagining this as somebody who just started the game a week ago and had no idea what they were doing, and this is a good way to get a consistent deck and the most amount. Now, I know you might not have a full play set of rares, so I will recommend some options at the end of the deck list to replace if you don't. Obviously, these aren't going to be as good because it's going to be the most basic of the basic, but it gives you an option if you're still looking. So getting into green, I just want to say off the bat that green has the weakest of the support, unfortunately, which is kind of funny because in the future sets, it just keeps getting better and better, where I think right now I would honestly argue in like the Korean meta, it's the best deck. So running at budget isn't going to be as strong as the other budget decks. This might be one of the weakest next to purple, but you could still win with this deck because I played it a bunch and I tested it. But we run things a little differently in order to get it to work. So to start off, we're going to have our 4 sparklings, our 2 angels, and our 2 onions. These are all our +1 HP guys. We're just running a 8-8 split in this deck. The reason I'm running like kind of a mix of this is your opponent doesn't really know what you're running, and because green needs every advantage it gets, you kind of want your opponent to, like, if your discard only has that, they're thinking something else, and then if they play that, they're like, oh wow, they're running 12 of the health. You know, it kind of just throws them off balance. So that's kind of what you want to do. Then next we have 4 cookie moles, 3 spinach, and a red bean. And same kind of thing, just our draws. We're mixing it up a little bit. I mean, I like cookie moles, that one is 4. But just because if your opponent sees this, they might be like, oh, what's going on? Also, it does 2 damage for 2, and there's other cards in the deck. Same with the reason why we run the other triggers with the onion, is sometimes you might be able to just play it, swing for 2, and then put it into your support. So it's kind of nice to have the option in case your hand's kind of bricky. Having too many 1s might not be good because they don't have that potential that you would see from other cards. So we're gonna go into our 1s. We have 1 banana, we have 3 salt, 4 ninjas, and 4 bellflowers. Sadly, the only way to really play green is to run this version of the deck, which it's fine. It's just kind of not the most interesting. For some reason, we didn't really get many level 1s for green that actually like had good skills. We got rogue for it, but again, that goes out of the budget build we have here versus real build. But these cards all got like super restricted in Korea and C to 1-ofs. I think they might be banned in Korea, or it might just be 1-off for both formats. And they're just really bricky, like not bricky, but they're really like wally, so they don't like them. And I totally get it. And I expect this card to be banned probably starting set 2 in America. I think the only reason they haven't hit these yet is just because we don't really have much card pool. Honestly, if they hit these right now too, green would just be a color that they completely take out of the game. And I feel like they don't really want to do that. They want to give people the options for it. But anyway, the reason why we're running all these is just because it's 3 for 2, which is like an okay stat line. But because we're green, we have so much ramp that we can afford it. And also like 4 HP is pretty good. And because green's whole thing is like getting rid of your guys before they die in defensive, they all kind of just work out really well. I mean, there's not really too much to explain because they are just vanillas, but I don't think any of the level 1s are really worth running besides these. And the multicolor doesn't really hurt too bad because they are colorless for the cost. So you don't really have to worry about like that. I mean, obviously look at what traps you have in your hand before you charge one of them in your support. But yeah, that's kind of just basic on that one. Next, we're going to run into our aloe cookie. We run 3 aloe cookie. I think it's funny because Moon Rabbit came on this set, and I think this is just better Moon Rabbit. I mean, that's just me. Some people are like Moon Rabbit because you can get rid of a guy on your board before he dies. But in my minds, it makes you lose a card, and then sometimes like that 1 extra card is just a make or break for the game. What we use Aloe Cookie though is on our curve 2 turn, you can play him, use a skill to add a card as active, and because it's active you can still swing for 1 damage, so it's mega aggro. And we'll go into these cards later, but I just want to show these. Aloe Cookie with this card is honestly such a good combo, it's crazy, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, we run 3. I don't want to run 4 because if you see too much of it late game, it doesn't really do much. Then we run 3 Peaches. Peaches are just tap 3, do 3. It's just a better version damage wise than our level 1s that we are running. Again, there's just not many options, and it's gonna surprise you guys, and put the pitchforks down, I promise, but we actually don't run lemon time in this deck. I don't like lemon. I know that's crazy, but lemon to me only works if you have the 4 SRs of the 3, 4 SRs of the 2, and then all the URs and stuff like that. And even then it's still kind of because lemon, you're tapping 4 and just the potential is not really worth it in my eyes. But we're just running Peach for now instead. And I promise if you give it a try, you'll understand more. This deck runs more like an aggro green than like a ramp into big guy green, just because there's not really any big cards we have yet that are worth it. So for level 3s next, we have 3 Strawberry Crepe. Strawberry Crepe's pretty good. It's just a 4 for a 3. You need something to spend your mana on. Like you're supposed to ramp up to something. And having 6 HP is just really good. It's just a better Peppuccino in every single way, essentially. And then having the skill to get rid of one of your support areas to damage something is nice. So you get to do 4 a turn with this. Sadly, this deck doesn't really hit those 5 numbers. But there's other combos you can do. In fact, there's some games where like I could have 2 of these on board and then it's really deadly. But it's okay. I think this is just the best 3 currently to run if you're doing the budget build for it. There's not really much. And this next card is actually kind of crazy. We run 2 of the Pudding Cookie. I know it's weird. We don't run Pumpkin anything. It's 3 for 4. Which is really good. Again, we're not running this as a traditional green deck where you ramp into a big thing because there's not any big things worth it unless you have your blue lilies, and even then, and this deck completely changes budget versus built. The reason we want to run 2 of these puddings though is just the aggro. Like the aggro potential for 4 is so good, it's ridiculous. You can just play this like on your turn 3 curve and just start swinging 4, and you're got to kill any level 2s or under. And the only way they can counter is if your opponent plays a 3. And because you like ramped fast, especially if you alloed the turn before, you're got to be able to like force them to off curve play their 3. So if they have to play like a timekeeper or something to try to keep up with it, it's got to be a hard time for them because they're not going to get like the full combo they wanted. And then even then, if you have like a block, like if you played Aloe and then this, and then you had 4 and you had 1 more left open, if you block one of their guys, they're just so far behind because you just have such an easy potential to kill them next turn. So believe it or not, as it is a common, Pudding Cookie, really good in this deck. So we run 4 stages. This is a must see. I see people not running this and I'm not sure why exactly. In fact, I think this is ran until like set 6 and overseas, if I'm correct. I might be wrong on that, but I believe every time I see like a deck list, I see it. You just rest it to add any card from your support to your hand and then draw. So you're plussing 2 off of it. I mean, technically you're probably just getting your support back that you took a turn to do, but like you could grab an apple pie back with this and then replay apple pie the turn before if you have leftover. This is just needed. If you open this, it's such a good turn 1. The game is just such in your favor because you just have that draw advantage that other decks aren't able to see. Like purple has a field spell that's kind of as good as this, but you have to like get a condition where this condition is literally just go bam and that's it. So 4 of no more because you can't or normal less. Obviously we have our 4 whipped creams. The reason we're in 4 whipped creams is because everything, it's the -3 attack. It's pretty self-explanatory. You do have to put one of your guys back, which is a little annoying. The thing I don't like about that is sometimes like early game, it's too deadly to use, but late game, when you have like your strawberry creams on board with 6 HP, you're just such a wall that they can't get through it. On next, we run 1 of the first aid kit. I only like it as a 1 of because you already have like your whipped creams. So late game, you don't really need it. But there's a lot of turns where like you can leave 3 and then do it. And then because you untap 1, you can play like a scarecrow later. It just combos really well. It's just another card. We run 2 scarecrows. I think Scarecrow is a lot better than I originally thought it was going to be. Being able to return something to your support area is nice, especially because you blind ramp with stuff like Aloe and things. So like if you were to like play Aloe and then you were like blind ramped, I don't know, like a strawberry or something the turn before, you could like get it and then make sure you have a guaranteed strawberry that next turn, or just any kind of attacker like a peach or something like that. So Scarecrow is really nice letting you get that. I don't like running more than 2 just because I feel like the deck gets a little too item and trap heavy and stuff, or like I don't get the attackers I need. And then next we have this card. I don't run this in the full version, but I always want to, but in budget, it's insane. We run 2 of the Divine Light Crystals. And the reason why is a lot of things swing for 4 pretty easily. So if we're like doing this aggro play where we're going to play our puddings and swing, if they do like some big like Wind Archer or something crazy on it, you could just play Divine Light Crystal and end up with 1. Yeah, you're gonna have 1 HP left, but like they're gonna do 4 and then 1 more after. And because they're doing 4 and how this works is it's on the whole battle, you're always gonna stay at 1 even with the effect skill. So it's really good because you just get to live, and it's only a tap 2, right? So if they're tapping 4 for that skill, you're essentially canceling them out, and then just there's so many, even against what was I playing against with I was playing a game the other day and I had Strawberry Crepe on board, and with Strawberry Crepe, like they were super burning it, whatever, and with like red I had like 2 health on it, and then they had a Wild Berry and they swung at it for 6, but then they used Pomegranate, so 7. So like I could not block that. Like I had a whipped cream and everything, but because you can only play 1 trap a turn, I still was gonna die. But because I had this card, I was able to play it and I just won because they're already at 9 his Wild Berries thing. So this is just a complete negate. If you see it, you just hold it all game until you're about to lose, like in the last turns, and this will just completely ruin your opponent's turn. And if they're going all out for the win and then they don't get it because you play this down, there's nothing they can do about it and they just lose. So that card is really good and I recommend doing it. Next we have 4 Ancient Healer's Gaze. I don't know how to start with how insane this card is. There's a ban card in like next set that's a yellow card that lets you heal for 2. This is just like a slightly weaker version than that, but because there's a card that's banned and it's kind of related to this, it kind of shows how strong it is. There's no HP conditions. It's only level 2 or lower. So something that I do all the time, and it's so good, is like if you have like, I don't know, like a 1 and they swing at like 2 for it or 3 at it and you have 1 HP left, you can just play Gaze and then put one of your guys in the battle area. So not only are you not taking that damage, but you're also ramping, and it just puts you ahead so much. Something I like to do too is if you have Aloe Cookie, you can play Aloe Cookie's whole thing. Then next turn, because he's not that big of an attacker, you could just slap this down on your Aloe, get rid of him, and then you could just replace the Aloe with like a 1/4, and then like who cares if your opponent kills this? Instead of taking 2 from Aloe, you're only taking 1 now, and then you're super ramped up on the board. And then last we have probably the best card in the deck, the Apple Pies. It's just a tap 2 to get a support area card. There's not too much to explain about it. This card is just, I think this is just one of those forever cards that you need to keep if you're a green player. Just self-explanatory, 2 for 2. Normally for these decks, I would have like other cards that I would recommend to like put in, but honestly, because of green's just severe lack of a pool, you kind of just have to do these. Like if you don't have some of these rares, I would just try your best. But really, honestly, if you look through it, it's just Apple Pie, and then you have it from the starter decks. Everything else is starter deck. So if you don't have Apple Pie, there's technically another item you can do where you take a damage, and it's just it's like a common or an uncommon that's just a worse Apple Pie called like Carrot Stew. I guess you could run that. So if you want, you could build these with all mostly commons and uncommons, and if you can't pull all these, you could run the Carrot Stew, but I would just try your hardest to get Apple Pie. Again, I'm not promising that this deck is anywhere near as good as the budget red deck and like the blue decks and stuff we're going to do, because it is green, and green desperately needs its pieces, and even with the big money pieces, it's still not the best. But if you love green like or you want to run like a herb cookie because you love herb cookie or whatever, this is probably the best version of it. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions at all, or like any ideas about like if I picked up these cards, what can I take out, just let me know, because there's simple options. Like if you were to get your Lily Bells, obviously you could take out the Peaches. I would 100% take out the Peaches wherever it is in here. And then if you were to get the blue lilies, then you can obviously take out the puddings, because they kind of fulfill the same thing, except blue lily, you could do an extra damage with the burn. It's 1 more tap, but you do the same. But yeah, those are like honestly the only 2 cards I could think that wouldn't do. Rogue Fort's okay. I would have to test more to see if he's actually worth running. Again, green just is in this weird spot. But yeah, if you have any questions at all or any combos you can think of that you think that you like a little more, if you're upset about me not running Lemon, I completely understand. But promise me, just give it a test and you'll see why I don't like the card. Instead of, you know, spending an extra turn to burn 2 and ramp, you already have so much ramp that you could just super aggro your opponent down before they're set up. Killing your opponent before they're set up is honestly the key to the budget green deck. So yeah, but hopefully that explains it, guys, and I'll see you later. Next I should be doing blue. I think I'm gonna do budget blue, so stay tuned for that, guys. Everyone have a great day. See ya. Bye.